Yeah, how are you?
Hey, how you been? How was your day?
It's been good.
Right. So for Capital 2, I needed to interview, I'm trying to read it word for word. So for Capital 2, I needed to interview someone, a character of noteworthy achievement slash experience, and then, X questions and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so, are you ready? And let's go. Mac. And these were the questions I came up with. Hey, I didn't exactly come prepared, so I'm just going to talk about. Can you please tell me about your AI research that we were doing and how? Can you please tell me about your AI research, the summer AI research and how it helped our community? Yeah, I didn't come prepared.
Okay. So this past summer, I had the opportunity to create what was known as the Summer AI Research Institute, where there were a total of about 60 participants. So 54 were undergraduate or graduate student, and then we had 6 high school teachers. So the goal behind it was to give the students, in particular, experiences conducting research in artificial intelligence, also known as AI. But I wanted them to see that AI could be used interdisciplinary. So it could be used in computer science versus health with plants. So as far as how does it benefit the community, as we all know, technology is changing every day, whether we want it to or not. So we just have to, catch up to it. So as far as the community, we had several projects that could have a impact. So for instance, I had a project that was on broadening participation in computing, where we held a 2-week outreach camp for free for underprivileged middle schoolers in Baltimore City and County. So they got to come to Morgan every day from 8 to 5. And they were able to go into the cafeteria, walk around campus to see what college is like. But on the other hand, we also introduced them to the AI concept. So how can you program this robot to move by itself? How can it be autonomous? They were able to learn how to code using Scratch, which is a drag and drop interface. And then they were able to progress to more complex programming languages. So they got to fly drones. They were able to program a robotic ball, a car, several things. And then they were able to make their own game inside of Scratch. And then there were other projects where it was on plants. So stormwater systems, how can we do things more effectively? And then we even had projects that dealt with traffic. So how can we make traffic flow better? I know that you probably have been at a stoplight where there was no traffic coming in the opposite direction, but you're stuck at the light. So we had projects that were working on how can we make a system that would be able to automatically detect that no cars are there and that there's no pedestrians in the walkway so that you can get the green light. So there are various projects. For me, one of the things that I live by when I said that when I'm successful, I want to be able to go back in my community and be the person that I wish I had when I was growing up. So that's a big part of what I do. Teaching is great, but I also want to make sure that I personally am able to have a relationship with my students and help them outside of the classroom. So that's what the institute was geared towards. Not only college students, but I wanted to start exposing K through 12 students as well, so that they'll be excited about attending college and know that it's possible for them as well.
Oh wow, that sounds interesting. I was going to say, can you expand on the stormwater research earlier? While you were talking, while you were speaking, you mentioned something about stormwater. Can you expand on that? That did sound interesting, though.
Not really. So it wasn't personally my project. It was just one of the projects that was done over the summer by another faculty and his students. So I don't want to go too much into detail there, but I did want you to know that AI or the institute expanded to different areas of research.
Okay.
That's not my area of research, so I can't really talk too much on that.
So which was your area of research? The camp, right?
So the camp is an area of my research, particularly for the institute. But I also had 2 other projects. One was called Hackers versus Defenders, where we built a 3D game that would teach users about different cybersecurity methods. So whether you're the hacker or the defender, there were different things that you could learn. So AI came into play because the students made a game that was kind of like you're protecting the servers or the terminals. So it was similar to like a Call of Duty game where you can run around, you can shoot. But the AI came in because that's how the enemies were spawned. So the system would be able to locate where you are, locate where the terminals were, and they would run up to the terminal, and then it was up to you as the user or the player to defend the terminal that you were at. So that was pretty cool to see it in a gamification way or a gamified way. And then I also had another project that was focused on social anxiety. So I know that I have social anxiety where if I stand in front of the room talking to a lot of people, like my heart rate goes up. And it can be kind of nerve-wracking. So we are building a VR simulation where we kind of want to help those who experience social anxiety cope or come up with coping mechanisms to get them through whatever scenario they're in. So with that, we incorporated something called an Emotibit. So it's like a wristband you can put on, but it can read your physiological data. So it can read what your heart rate is and other different metrics. If you're sweating, skin conductance, things of that nature. So what we wanted to do is take the readings from the wristband, and if it's past a certain threshold, then our system would go into coping mechanism mode where it would recognize that they're in a high intensity situation, and it would offer solutions on how they can get through that scenario. So one that we had was you're in an auditorium in this 3D environment, and you have to give a speech to all these people looking at you in the audience. So if we're able to detect that your social anxiety is going up, we're able to tell you or give you different feedback or different tips on how you can proceed to give that speech without being too bothered about the people that are staring at you. So it's pretty much in the infancy stage. But once again, it was kind of cool to incorporate AI, the Unity gaming engine, along with physiological data. So yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's actually pretty interesting because me too. I have social anxiety. When I get up on stage or when I get up in front of people, it's kind of like hard for me to talk. So how is the production coming along though? Because you said they're still in the production stage, right?
Yeah, well, production is actually coming along a lot faster than I anticipated. So we are about to go in testing phase where we will have different users test it out, give their feedback on what they currently think about it, if they have any features that they think we should add, things of that nature. So we should be in testing mode in the next month or so. And then hopefully a year from now, we probably will have it being used
in the market, kind of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And testing it for impact. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's actually a way to help the community because we're going to be helping our community, like solve that social issues and stuff like that, kind of in a way, right? It'll help that's actually interesting, though. And question number 4. So the other research, that was the main research you did, right? The
Code Bears?
That was the 2 main ones you did over the summer, right?
Yeah, over the summer.
Oh, okay. Is there any other noteworthy AI research you've done at Morgan so far? Because I noticed you're a Morgan professor, so I'm like,
yeah. So I have several projects. Most people would probably think that I'm a little crazy because I want to be a part of different areas of research. So I have a project that focuses on algorithmic bias in conversational AI. So honestly, my research interests or areas fall into systems that use speech. So I specialize in creating systems that you can either talk to by typing it or you can talk to it by voice. So similar to like Siri or Alexa, those types of things. So what I'm currently working on is looking at other systems or surveying systems that currently exist. And I want to know how algorithmic bias is occurring. Algorithmic bias means, is there gender bias? Is there racial bias? And this bias comes about when we build a system that's intended for one audience, but the data does not have enough of that audience. So for example, if I was trying to make a chatbot for Morgan, but I went to a predominantly white school and got all of my information from those students, my chatbot is now biased because just because it worked at a predominantly white school does not mean that it will work at a historically black college or university. So we want to focus on where do these biases occur and how can we mitigate them? So what we are targeting to do is if we can recognize that these different biases such as race, gender take place and where they take place in these chatbots, then we can build a system that will help fix that. So if you ran your chatbot through our system, we could tell you, you don't have enough data on this, or perhaps you forgot this target demographic, you need to include them. So that's a major project I have going on. We have one where actually about 2 weeks ago, I went to a conference and one of my students won second place overall for a project called Have a Heart. So we're using AI in the virtual reality space to bring awareness to homelessness. So in this simulation, you as the user are homeless and you have to survive. So what we're hoping is as they're going through the simulation and they realize how hard it is, like you have to figure out where you can go to take a bath. How are you going to get your food? So as they're going through the simulation, does that build empathy where we as, I wouldn't use the word privilege, but for those of us who don't have to experience hand on hand what it's like to live on the street or not have a roof over your head in this simulation, maybe we'll build empathy where we now will try to help mitigate or, have resources or programs that can help those who are homeless today. So, that's been a big AI project that I'm working on.
That's actually interesting.
Yeah, pretty much. Everything that my lab does has some form of AI, whether it's through an educational aspect. Like I have a system where you can talk to a historical figure who's dead now, but on the screen they're there. You can have a conversation about what their life was, ask them questions, and they talk back to you. So things like that. Whether we're in education, VR, if we're talking about mental health, those are different projects that we're working on.
Those are actually interesting. Another quick question though, what do you think about chips in the brain? Because if you've read the news, recent news about Elon Musk, his Neuralink has gotten the go ahead by the FDA to start testing in people. They literally started the clinical trials to start putting chips in people's brains. So what's your opinion on that?
I don't really, for one, I don't have enough data. I haven't done research to give an opinion about whether or not what he's doing is legal, right, or wrong. However, what I will say is that based on history, what we've seen in movies, based on science, it's something that we were introduced to, and at some point we would see it in a real world aspect. All I can say is that I hope that it's tested, whatever they're doing. I can't say quite frankly that I would be interested in participating in those trials. But that's science. That's what we do. We build things, we test it out.
It seems pretty cool, but we build stuff and test it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because sorry, I cut you off. Because I was reading the news earlier, and they were talking about, the first clinical trials have started. Like, they want people to sign up, but they want people with paralysis. What's it called? Paralysis? I mean, not the nerve tissue disease. They want people with the muscular diseases. So they would started to test it out and stuff like that. So that's why I was like, maybe this could help students and stuff like that. Because that actually seems really interesting. It would seem like something I would get into also. But yeah.
Yeah. So they are using BCI devices, or what we call brain-computer interfaces. And honestly speaking, my lab is right now also working on a project or two that are also using those devices. We're definitely not in trial phase, and we're not trying to put any kind of chips in anyone. But I don't know. So those types of devices, what I can say about community or in the research aspect is that those kind of devices also help reach a demographic or audience that we tend to forget. So those that are disabled. So a BCI device can be put on the head of someone who's disabled, and they're able to actually speak without using their voice. We can use their brain waves to figure out what it is they're trying to say. Like when I was in graduate school, we did the first brain drone race where you put on this BCI device and you're able to fly a drone with your brain. So
sorry, did you say fly a drone?
Yes. So you put the two people are side by side. They put on this BCI device and they use their brain waves in order to make that drone go forward. So think about how if I can't speak, how I can think about whatever it is I want, and I can type my password in without assistance. I can move my wheelchair across the floor without any other human interfering or having to be there. So I'm not quite too sure the direction that Elon Musk is trying to go, but what I will say is that there are benefits in using the BCI devices if they're done correctly. So hopefully what he's doing, there is a potential benefit for the user, but we'll have to stay tuned to see what comes of it. So.
And thank you for your time, though, Dr. Matt. That was actually really interesting, though.
Yep.
And let's see, what else questions do I have? Last question. Sorry, I noticed you with the Seamless Education and Outreach Advisor. Can you tell me about Seamless and what it does? On your it's also on LinkedIn. I noticed you with the Outreach Advisor, and part of the topic I chose was community building. So can you tell me what Seamless does and how it reaches out to the community?
That goes back to the Summer AI Research Institute. That was done under Seamless. So it is an initiative under the Center for Equitable Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning Systems, also known as Seamless. So we focus on anything related to AI, biases, how can we educate people, and then another focus for Seamless is how can they attract underrepresented minorities into the field. So how can we get them into the field, and how can underrepresented minorities into the field. So how can we get them into the field, and how can we keep them there? So the Summer AI Institute was another way to bring interest and to keep students interested in AI and potentially working on those projects while they're still in school. And then also, everybody doesn't want to work industry per se. So I thought that it could be another way to give students an internship where they can make the same amount of money as someone that's on internship somewhere else industry-wise. So, so as far as the community, Seamless does many things. They hold different seminars, webinars. They go and speak. Like yesterday, I believe one of the directors was speaking on a White House initiative for HBCUs. So Seamless is doing a bunch of things. The Institute is just one program under that umbrella. And they are open to taking on new students. They have a place where students can go and apply, and not apply, but go and show their interest. And then Seamless will try to match them to a professor who's doing research and what they're interested in. So
interesting. Yep, that's really interesting. Quick question. Did Simmons ever think about, I don't say funding a student's project or like an undergrad student's project? Did they ever think about that? Kind of try to have the students kind of write a research proposal and kind of see if it's proper and kind of fund one or two of those to kind of get students in, kind of in a way?
I cannot speak on that. So I am not the director of the Seamless Center, so I don't know what they have or haven't done. I just focus on the education and outreach part. So how can we educate the community as well as students about AI and doing different programs? So that's a different conversation with a different set of people. I don't make
decisions.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were like higher up, the ones that make those kind of decisions, but
no, I'm not the director. Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Mack. It was really good speaking with you.
Alrighty.
I'll see you later.
Alrighty, have a good day.
You too, Miss. Also, can you send me